Yo gamers, have you ever went to school and been forced to read books? I know the feeling, man. It can be trash. But it can also be pretty fire sometimes. Actually, I feel like most of the times those books were pretty fire. You sometimes didn't want to read, which I get, but, I'm a reader. For me, I remember Fahrenheit 451, Of Mice and Men, Holes especially. Holes was a banger. The movie's even pretty good, I'm not gonna lie. But today, we're not talking about any of those. We're gonna be talking about Ender's Game, written by Orson Scott Card. A pretty big book. A lot of people have read it. I'm sure somebody watching has read it. I read it for the first and only time in 4th grade. Never saw the movie until last week after finally rereading it through an adult lens. Because obviously, reading it once during 4th grade probably isn't enough. But this has no place on an anime, manga, light novel thingy channel, right? Right you are. But have no fear. This is still relevant, as Ender's Game has a manga. And today, I'm going to tell you all about it. So subscribe if you're new, and let's get right into it. The day was January 11th, 2014, with Ender's Game a week away from being released internationally when the promotional manga dropped. The story was based off the movie rather than the book, obviously, and the art was done by Shuho Sato, creator of Say Hello to Black Jack. And when I heard that this manga existed, I felt like I had to check it out. I know there are some comics from Marvel, and I want to check those out too, but for some reason, this is just way more random. Like an Ender's Game manga. Who would have thunk it? Sadly, it's only a one-shot. Like I said, it was to promote the movie, but I thought it would be fun to overanalyze nonetheless. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. I'm probably not gonna analyze it at all. Just talk about unrelated things, slightly related things, loosely related things. So let's actually get into it. The first thing that I noticed was the art. Rather than hitting us with the traditional, I guess, manga art style that you would be used to, not saying that there is one manga art style, because there's obviously thousands upon hundreds of thousands of different styles depending on the artist slash author. I guess just in a general sense, when you think of manga, it feels closer to a mix of traditional manga art and that rough Western comic style art you see sometimes. Well, not even that. I guess just the realistic style you see in certain manga, but a little dialed back with color added to it. It's nice though, and it's obviously a look for these characters that we've never seen before. The story only goes as far as the first 3 chapters of the novel up until Ender is officially going to battle school. We see Ender lose his monitor, Ender beat Stilson's ass, and Graf be happy about it. But I will say, this shit, off of the first little bit, is low-key way more intense than how the movie does it, or even the book does it, debatably. First off, even though the manga is also a victim to this criticism, I didn't like that the movie Ender needed a weapon to defend himself against Stilson and friends, because in the book he's just that guy. He doesn't need a science plant or whatever the hell that is that he grabbed in the movie. I don't remember. And while he does do that here again, it is with a stick, and it's more ruthless, so I guess it really does show that side of him more, which I'm not gonna lie, is kind of cool. But second off, I do like that in the manga, Ender goes out of his way to find Stilson and rock his shit rather than waiting for him to try and bully him again. Bro waits for him like a Pokemon NPC waiting for you to cross his path so he can get in your face and challenge you to a Pokemon battle. And in this panel right here, Ender's emotion is pretty great. It sucks that I didn't like how the actor playing Ender in the movie portrayed him, because here I get way more out of this moment than in the movie. But that's also because the art is impactful, at least to me. Because reading the manga and watching the movie without the novel's knowledge has gotta be ass. It's gotta be. It's gotta be awful. And unlike the book or the movie, unless I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure Graf doesn't do this till later in the book. But Graf is just like, yeah, you killed him. Stilson's dead. Dead as hell. Like, goddamn! In the book, I'm quite positive he finds out way later. And I don't feel like rewatching the movie to check, but I don't think he does it like that either. And they really put emphasis on being a killer way more in this than the other two. I imagine if the manga went on longer, they would have really made it somewhat darker than the book or the movie, and not like in an extra edgy type of way that makes it really annoying, like, oh, we be killing, we're dark, read our manga, it's darker than the average sci-fi, but closer to really hammering in the mental aspect of it, like an Evangelion or another series of that nature that likes to handle that psychological side of it, because this is one of those series where, okay, it has sci-fi elements, it has these cool battle elements, but more importantly than any of that is the human side. Half of the damn book is about Locke and Demosthenes, or however you say it, doing political stuff. So that is kind of where I'm going with the dark thing. Would really hammer in what comes with killing or hurting others on that side. As in this one shot alone, we're hit with quotes like, "In times of war, what one calls a hero is basically a professional killer," or "I imagine Stillson is delighted to be the first sacrifice," and "In taking the life of another, you validated your own." First off, Graph in the manga is definitely that anime character with a deep-ass voice and the super badass vibe, just off those 3 quotes alone. Which could be either good or bad, as in the novel, as you know, he's shown to be a surprisingly caring person, especially towards Ender. And second off, those quotes might only seem cool and badass just off the surface level, but like I was saying, those really make you think about the war, what comes with it, what comes with killing for a war, killing for a good purpose, quote unquote, and how, it affects the other party, because that's what Ender's Game is about, essentially. Overall, I do think that this one shot is pretty cool. Honestly, would have rather gotten a full manga than the movie, because the movie, yeah. I mean, in defense of the movie, it had its good points. Some of it was cool. I mean, I understand it's like a 2-hour thing. You can't do too much. I understand them cutting out Locke and Demosthenes, even though it does kind of make Peter's character mean literally nothing. So when they try and make it matter to Ender, you're just sitting there like, I don't really care about him. I mean, I saw him fight him once, but it's just like a brotherly thing. Was he really gonna kill him? He didn't seem like that bad of a guy. And then someone's gonna take that seriously in the comments, be like, he wasn't that bad of a guy. He literally tried to kill him. It was a joke. Calm down. And I do think that introducing Bean earlier may have been a little mid. They could have introduced him later still, whilst not making the team only launchies for the Dragons. They could have introduced him and him be the only new member of the Dragons. I did like the change where they made the Dragon Army old allies and enemies like Bernard, Petra, Dink, and more. That was kind of cool because that's an easy way to do it without having to introduce a bunch of new characters. Because obviously they were going to always have to speedrun it a bit. That's not really my criticism of it because I do think some of the things they do well. But yeah, some of it was cool and some of it wasn't. Sadly though, like I said, this manga was only a one-shot to promote the movie. Hence why everything that's different from the book is closer to how the movie is. Not really needed an explanation, but I wanted to add that anyways. Me personally, I would definitely want another Ender's Game manga or some form of animated adaptation for it, as well as its sequels. As a singular movie, as I was saying, could never do its story justice, even if it is pretty fast-paced compared to some other books out there. It's just too much. Damn. Now that I really think about it, an Ender's Game manga would go so damn hard, or even a TV series. Like, look at this promotional art that Aki Akane did for the dub of the film, or just the film in general. I'm not really sure. It looks fire. The Japanese dub voice for Ender, even comparing him to a character like Ikari Shinji, the MC of a series everyone knows by now, Neon Genesis Evangelion. And I kind of see it. They're both in very similar situations. It's a type of story that I think a lot of anime fans would like if they haven't read it, which, like I said, a lot of people were forced to read this, but I'm sure there's got to be a lot of people that haven't read it. And this is also another side note. It's not even in my script, but this is one of those situations where it's like a story in the West could easily appeal to anime fans. It's just that anime fans, or light novel fans, or manga fans, not all of them, but I've noticed a lot of them refuse to read or consume any media that's not Japanese at some point, for some reason. It's kind of weird, but you like what you like. Me personally, I just enjoy stuff as long as it's good. I don't care where it comes from. I mean, I'm trying to get into K-dramas now, and I never thought I'd get into those, but I just like good stories, no matter where they come from. A visual novel, a Western novel, a French novel. Obviously, it's got to be translated, but you get what I mean. So I wanted to add that because I just started thinking about it. But let's just think about this for a second. An Ender's Game anime adaptation. It would never happen. I mean, never say never, because apparently, or Scott Card was never gonna let a movie happen, but we all know how that went. So if it ever did happen, that shit could be so fire, man. Orson Scott Card would hate it though, I'm not gonna lie. This shit looks nothing like he imagined the story to look. But that's the beautiful thing about adaptations. Whether good or bad, they give you a different lens and perspective of a story that you might not get from its original medium, whether it's for the better or not. I mean, even though the movie is trash, I think Harrison as Graph is perfect, and Dap is a way better character in it. I think the battle room scenes are fun, and maybe for some people that don't have the best imaginations, it really helps put that into scope, as well as the graveness of the battles, because there are people out there that just aren't as good at comprehending certain things with their imagination while reading. Me, I'm fine with it, but you gotta sympathize with some people about that. Now, I'm not saying any medium is better than the others. Me personally, I do prefer novels to pretty much anything else, but I, like many people, love good adaptations. And that's why I'm vouching for this hypothetical situation. But like I was saying, a manga or anime adaptation could easily have its own pros to mirror its obvious cons. Cons being that novels in general have the opportunity to be way more detailed. But with a manga or anime that doesn't have the restrictions of a movie with runtime, it could easily adapt it the best it could, not taking out as many scenes, and making action scenes look pretty desirable. Not to say it's the worst thing reading fights, but it's also very nice seeing them. To add on to what I was saying earlier, once again, I'm saying that a lot, but it's because whilst reading the script, I'm adding stuff in that I forgot I also put in the script. So just bear with me here, man. I want to get my point across because I'm serious right now, which I'm not normally serious in my videos. On top of that, voice acting, music, composition and shots, just stuff that you could take advantage of a medium that isn't the original for. I love when people do that. It's so good. I mean, two examples that came up to my mind first, anime specifically, would be Monogatari's anime. It can't have all the detail of the light novel, but it is pretty highly regarded as an anime adaptation of a light novel because it takes the liberty to do things that capture the essence, the spirit of the original story, whilst being its own thing, whilst making it a nice anime. Chainsaw Man as well. I know this is going to be a very controversial opinion to some, but I think that making it that movie style is nice. It took advantage of the fact that it was an anime. It knew it couldn't beat the manga at what the manga did, and that's fine. The manga is still there. So why not make a unique experience that can only exist in anime form that can't be done in the manga? I think that's beautiful. And that's really all that I want from adaptations at this point. Not to just be something that is going to be worse than the original, but be better in a different way. Not necessarily saying it's better overall, but just being good at the things that medium's good at. Light novels have their own good things. Novels in general have their own good things. Visual novels are great for certain things that bridge the gap between light novels and something like an anime or a movie. Movies, the actors' performances, like IRL movies, that can be something that you can never get in animation, because even though you can get good animation and very powerful animation, sometimes it just takes seeing a real human's great performance to really move you. It just depends on the medium. I don't know why. I didn't expect to get this deep into it because half of this shit isn't even in my script, but this is something I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about media, man. And I wasn't expecting to get this deep into it in this video, but maybe I'll make a video about this someday. Like why, I don't know why we need different mediums. Why the more the better. Because I love talking about this type of shit. I mean, CD dramas have their own good. There's also things like musicals, stage plays. A pretty valid form of storytelling in the last 20, 30 years or so has also been video games. In the last 10 years or so, people are really starting to notice what a TV show with a good budget can do. Because that used to be why people would make movies instead of TV shows or things, because they could never get the backing for TV shows. But now people are starting to see their worth in the storytelling format, which I love. And there's just also a lot more that I didn't mention. And yeah, just in general, like storytelling, peak fiction, man. Storytelling, no matter what medium it is, god damn it, I love it. I love it. I just love the craft of coming up with a story and telling it, man. I'm addicted to it. It's like my cocaine. But yeah, also to add on what I was saying, it wouldn't have to be an anime or a manga. Like I was saying about the live action TV show being a good way to tell stories these days. That could be just as good if they properly adapted the book. Yet another thing that a movie could be hard to do unless you put it into parts, which is why I also want to not say that movies are the worst way to adapt books, because you just got to learn how to do things. I get it though. Hollywood exists, makes things kind of hard. That wasn't my point. That was just another thing I wanted to add. That wasn't in the script. I'm so bad at going off script for this video. God damn. But at this point, it just comes down to a preference in medium. I, for one, would love to see anime adaptations of books that were not originally light novels or anime styled. I think there are a lot of books that could be dope in that sphere. So yeah, what do you guys think? Have you guys read this one shot? And if you did you like it? Speaking of like... maybe like the video. It helps me out a lot. The algorithm and stuff. It helps more than you could ever know. And let's say that this hypothetical future I dreamed up of, where Western novels are getting anime and manga adaptations. What novels do you think would best benefit from it, if any at all? This has been Eddie Hates Anime. Over and out. Peace.